presents that I gave her and Jeremy. She put the unopened presents on my doorstep when I was out of town. This is a prime example of how manipulative the Church of Scientology really is. Both of my children have told me that they will only talk to me if I get back in good standing with Scientology and do those steps needed to do that. I told them I am not a part of Scientology anymore, and I cannot do that. It's against my integrity. I wrote my children an open letter since I can't talk to them, and I asked all my family and friends to share it with them. I still to this day do not know if they ever were able to read it. I have heard from some of my family that Scientology is telling my kids that their mom is crazy and to stay away from me, that I am a declared suppressive person now, which Scientology considers is an evil person, all because I fought for my parental rights and wanted to keep my kids in school. And I disagreed with what they did to my kids. After I resigned, I was threatened in my parking lot by John Allender, a Scientologist. He asked me if I enjoy beatings. Then John Allender and Mark Warlick, another Scientologist, followed me across state lines. They found out where I flew to. They have someone in the church that works, for the airlines and can track where you're going. Scientology also took private, confidential things out of my counseling folders and put them on the Internet. These were the most private things, and I trusted to share those with them when I was in Scientology. I have personally experienced the abuses of Scientology. I will continue to fight for my kids' freedom. Because how Scientology operates, people are afraid to leave or say anything. But there is a momentum now, and more people are leaving Scientology and speaking out. I will continue to speak out so other parents will know the truth and hopefully never have to go through what I went through with my own kids. And that's why I do what I do, because I want my kids back.
Lori, I have to tell you, you're very brave. You're a very brave individual. I know this is extremely stressing for you, and I appreciate, we all appreciate you sharing this with us. Do you know where your kids are now, Lori?
Yes, my ex-husband, since he knew that I went to see them for Christmas, they were living only a half hour away from me. I think they're told that I'm crazy, and I think if they see me, they'll see I'm not. So my ex and Scientology probably had to do with something with it, moved them far away to Austin, Texas. I do know my son lives with Jim, my ex-husband. My daughter was living with him, but now she has a boyfriend. I don't know. They're not on staff. Jessica works at a preschool. I don't know where. I don't even know where they live. And my son works at a motorcycle shop in Austin. That's all I know. Only way I can reach them is through friends. If they send them a Facebook message, but then they end up blocking them sometimes. I have a couple that Jeremy hasn't blocked yet, so I find that hopeful. I did send the kids Christmas cards through his work. You know, it's not a Scientology, it's a motorcycle shop, and I haven't gotten them back in the mail. Yay! So maybe my son read it.
Well, that's hopeful. I'm very, very hopeful that obviously that you eventually are reunited with your family. Thank you so very much for sharing that with us.
Right, and we're going to keep you on the line, Lori, so that when we go into the open forum, maybe you can contribute, because this is just, there were some people in the chat room crying. This is such a terrible thing.
There were some people on the other side of microphones that were crying.
Yeah, well, yesterday when I pre-read it, I was crying. Maybe I got it all out yesterday. I just really wanted to be able to share it, and that's why I wrote it down. So
we thank you. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to keep you on the line. We're going to play a recorded interview that was done over a holiday. This was with Nefertiti, who is in France, and Sate was in on that call with me, and we're going to play this. It's about 19 minutes, and so if you need to run, get some coffee or whatever, you know, we will have this archived after. And then after that, I'm going to just unmute the lines and also take calls, and everybody could sort of have an open discussion, because I know everyone wants to do that. So, but with that, here we go with Nefertiti, and hopefully sometimes pre-records, the quality is not very good. I hope it sounded great on my on my computer, but we'll see what happens here.
But I'm speaking up to expose this, the abuses of this cult, and also to denounce other cults' abuses, because they all function the same way. They lock the person in, and then they do mental mind control techniques, very powerful mind control, because a cult is about obedience and compliance. It's not about freedom. The way to happiness. What a wonderful title to trap people in. Oh yes, I want to be happy. You know, everybody wants to be happy. The thing is that they are selling you happiness. How can you sell happiness? Happiness and freedom are not for sale. You cannot buy happiness. You cannot buy freedom. It's a trap.
Very beautiful point. Wonderful point. So how long were you in Scientology then? Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yes, I had the money at the time. All my money. That's the first thing they did.
They took care of the important stuff first, okay?
Exactly. I mean, if you have no money, you're not interested. You are not an interesting person for Scientology. Scientology is looking for people with money, so they can get the money out of you first, and then they apply those control techniques, like auditing and processing, whatever they call it, which all are mind technique control and hypnosis. They make you believe that you are feeling good. They make you feel you are good. You know that. Gradually, they make you think you are psychotic, and you actually become psychotic.
They drive people psychotic at the upper end, or when people get on staff and devote their entire lives and sign that billion-year contract. And what, from reading Nefertiti's story, she was in for quite a long time before she really realized that there is a big problem with it, and that it didn't promise what it delivered, and in fact it did the opposite. She was staffed for a while, right, Nefertiti? And then you went on to what's called the RPF, which is the Rehabilitation Project Force, which is where they punish people for the most minor of infractions.
Anytime a Sea Org organization executive deems it necessary, he can order a person to be sent to the RPF. It's totally arbitrary. No judgment, no nothing at all. It's like the Gestapo. The Sea Org is like the Gestapo of Scientology. And I was belonging to that Gestapo. And suddenly I decided that I didn't want to be part of this game anymore. So I said, well, I want to leave. I want to live in here because I'm not happy, you know, and I think that I have enough of it. Oh, yes, well, you go to the prison camp because you have to redeem yourself. That's what I say. And I want to say that it is not true that a person agrees to redeem. It is not true the person voluntarily agreed to go to the RPF and be treated as a prisoner. The person is forced to sign papers saying she agrees to be in prison, but the person doesn't know what the hell is the RPF about, you see?
Okay, so, okay.
Until you get there, should you become injured or even killed, the person is also denied, you know, any contact or communication with anyone outside the RPF. You know when you get there, but you don't know when you will be out.
You know, you'd think that the signing a document that you could be killed would raise some red flags.
Yes, it's, you know, it's you absolve the Sea Org and any other Scientology corporation from any liability should you become injured or even killed. You sign that document. Can you believe that? But it took me, you know, in, I don't know where, in a cave, and I saw this woman, you know, she was doing something, working at something, and she was saying, I have to redeem myself. And she would repeat that. I have to redeem myself. I have to redeem myself. I am a criminal. I am a criminal. I have to redeem myself. And I said, oh my God, this RPF. I stayed a few hours looking at that woman. And I said, well, I'm going to go crazy if I don't escape.
Nefertiti, wasn't she standing in water, doing something with putting water in and out?
And I asked to her, what are you doing? Don't ask questions. I belong to the RPF, and I want to join the RPF again because I am a criminal and I have to redeem myself. And she would repeat those sentences on and on and on.
So how many years had you been involved in Scientology while you witnessed this? I mean, was this something that kind of shocked you?
Well, yes, I was in Scientology for 5 years.
Wow.
Yes, I never heard about gulags, never heard about gulags or prison camps or whatever. I never heard about forced labor, never heard of that, never heard. So I stayed in this nightmare 1 week, you see, because I was feeling deep inside I was getting psychotic.
Yeah.
So I had the presence of mind to still have the energy to say, I don't understand what's going on in here. I don't understand at all. But the only thing I know, I have to escape because otherwise I'm going to die. I'm going to die because people die in the RPF.
Oh, jeez.
They do die. First, I refused to get up to get some sleep because I needed at least to sleep 8 hours. Mm-hmm. I was very lucky. They did not, guards did not lock me in the room. I was extremely lucky because I blew very quickly, very rapidly, you see. So they didn't realize, and you know they have all those corporations and houses and everywhere. So they, in a house where my passport was in a safe, they did not know I was in the RPF.
Okay. So you were lucky then.
Yes, I was very lucky. I have a good star, and so I said, oh, I need my passport because I'm getting my 3rd divorce. Oh, great, you are divorcing. Oh, that's good news, you're divorcing. Okay, so here is your passport. And I put that smile, and I had that cab waiting for me outside. And then I said, okay, go. And they were running after the cab,
Oh.
The divorce story was not real, but it was enough for an escape. Also, our hero was fortunate because she had some valuables in the safe to pay for her flight away. We talked about how family members are split apart so that individuals are isolated and easier to manipulate by the cult.
Disconnection ruins many families, and there are a lot of people even today that did not see their children at Christmas, are not going to see them at New Year's. They don't get to talk to them, and the holidays can be very, very difficult.
Oh, no, painful subject, even more painful than the prison camps. My children were in Europe by the time I was in the RPF, right? My children were safe. They were not in the cult at all. Mm-hmm. By the time I escaped, my ex-husband, which is still in the cult, told me
rights and wanted to keep my kids in school, and I disagreed with what they did to my kids. After I resigned, I was threatened in my parking lot by John Allender, a Scientologist. He asked me if I enjoy beatings. Then John Allender and Mark Warlick, another Scientologist, followed me across state lines. They found out where I flew to. They have someone in the church that works, for the airlines and can track where you're going. Scientology also took private, confidential things out of my counseling folders and put them on the internet, able to read it. I have heard from some of my family that Scientology is telling my kids that their mom is crazy and to stay away from me, that I am a declared suppressive person now, which Scientology considers is an evil person, all because I fought for my parental that I gave her and Jeremy. He put the unopened presents on my doorstep when I was out of town. This is a prime example of how manipulative the Church of Scientology really is. Both of my children have told me that they will only talk to me if I get back in good standing with Scientology and do those steps needed to do that. I told them I am not a part of Scientology anymore, and I cannot do that. It's against my integrity. I wrote my children an open letter since I can't talk to them, and I asked all my family and friends to share it with them. I still to this day do not know if they ever were